February 6th, 2000. This is where my story begins. My mom and dad met a few years before, had gotten married, and then had me. I was born on February 6th, obviously, in the poorly drawn state of Ohio. In 2002, my family had another addition. I was no longer an only child. This baby was my little sister. Her name is Mandy. In 2004, we had yet another addition. The first and only boy so far, my little brother Micah. And then again in 2006, my little sister Ellie made the debut into the family. Sometime in between 2009 and 2010. I'm not quite sure on the time frame of that. I started having chronic back pain. Ow. The only reason that I remember it was even within this time frame is because of a memory I have with one of my friends. I was over at our grandparents' house and we were lying on the floor for some reason, and I commented that it felt nice to lay on the floor because it stretched my back out, and I said, my back hurts all of the time now. I don't know why. In 2010, I had my first move. We had been living in the same house ever since I was a baby. But when I was 10, we had to move to a new one. Up until now, I had been schooled at home. But now, I went to a real school. I actually got held back a year because my mom actually wasn't that great of a teacher, and so I didn't retain a lot of information. So I ended up having to redo a year. But I went to a community school right there in town. So when I went to this new school, I was, the new kid, obviously. It was 4th grade, and I was kind of a loner. I mean, not by choice, I was just kind of over here, and they were all kind of over there. I mean, I guess I don't blame them. Like, I was the new kid. They didn't know me. But it just kind of sucks, you know? So there was this one girl named Destiny, and we became pretty fast friends. So we would hang out most all of 4th grade, and then partway through 5th grade, and then partway through 5th grade, she just kind of decided that didn't really mesh, and she kind of left. At this point, I had already been struggling with a little bit of depression, and my one friend that I had abandoning me was just a little bit too much for me to handle, honestly. What I'm trying to draw here is like a Cheshire Cat face, but I can't draw, so I'm going to explain that is what that is supposed to be. Having my friend leave me, just the depression consumed me. I didn't have anything to keep me occupied. My only memories from 5th grade are being in the dark, trying to get help, trying to call out. I sat, you know those lunch tables where there's like half of it, it's like really long, but there's like 2 parts to it that are very clearly established. Yeah, I sat and ate lunch at one of those all by myself. I felt very isolated. In 6th grade, things got a little bit better. Depression never really goes fully away, but you can have enough fun to kind of forget it's there. The blackness kind of fades a little bit. Never really goes away, but there you go. So the blackness can fade a little bit, so you distract yourself. Things get a little bit better. That was 6th grade for me. I found this group of people, this kind of group of other outcasts, kind of like me, and we made our own little group. I actually named it. We called ourselves Eminem, or the Modern Musketeers, with our motto, all for one and one for all. There were 2 boys and 3 girls. Just the 5 of us. The 2 boys were Justin and Trey, and then there was me, Delaney, and Maddie. Madison and Trey both left the school after 6th grade. So it was just me, Justin, and Delaney, which I actually have some pretty good memories from that time. We were all kind of awkward and we never went out for recess, so we would always help the janitor clean up the cafeteria while everyone else was at recess. Which doesn't sound that great, but it was really fun because it was just the 3 of us in this wide open cafeteria. And I remember this one time when we smashed open a barbecue packet. We made a lot of messes because we knew we were just going to clean them up anyway. Never started a food fight. Okay, moving on. So my mom had gotten pregnant yet again. And this time, there were 2 of them. I don't know why I tried to add the babies holding up peace signs, but I failed terribly at this, but I thought it was funny that the babies would be giving peace signs, and also that I failed so terribly at having the babies give peace signs. So I just kept it. This happened in 2012, by the way, because I forgot to do that earlier. Okay, so my mother had finally given birth, and I had 2 little baby sisters named Mia and Libby. This is all the children that my parents have as of yet. So yes, still just the 1 boy. That same year, or maybe it was the year before that, I have a terrible memory, okay? This is very hard. But since I was born, we had been going to this one church. It was kind of weird. It had a lot of rules. Girls could only wear skirts. I wore pajama pants around the house sometimes in the winter and stuff. But I never wore a pair of jeans until I was 12. We were also supposed to have very long hair. And cutting it, even just trimming the dead ends off, was just no. And you couldn't pierce your ears either. That's what that's supposed to be. That's supposed to be an earring, but it kind of just looks like more hair. But no ear piercings. Or tattoos. It was the only place I could put a tattoo. Leave me alone. My mom had decided that this church wasn't really for her anymore, and kind of pieced out on that. I don't know why I keep using peace in this section, but she says, "Peace, I'm out," and she'll. This actually led to me questioning religion a lot. It sent me into a tizzy that lasted 4 years, and I'm still not quite decided, but it was really bad at the beginning. I was just so confused. I mean, what was right? Christianity? There's Jewishism? I don't even know what you call it. I don't know. I know what you call it. I can't remember. Okay? Leave me alone. There's science, there's Scientology, aliens. What do I believe? What should I believe? In 2015, I had to move from my second house of my life an hour away from my hometown. Our family was getting pretty big at this point, and my dad already worked in that town, so we just decided it would be better to move there instead. So, 2015, it was finally time for high school. Yes, this is an actual model of what my high school looks like. It's really weird. Alright. 2016 rolled around. 10th grade. At this point in 10th grade, my health started to decline. I was having more trouble with my back, I was having more trouble with my hips, I was having trouble with my knees, my ankles were starting to be all weird, my toes. My declining health also meant that my depression took a hit for the worse, and I started to descend into the darkness again, which was not fun. Decided to seek out therapy, and they referred me to a psychologist, or I forget, psychologist? I think it's psychologist, where they gave me meds. And the first med that I was on didn't really help me much, but then the second med that I got on, it helped me a whole lot. I am so much less depressed than I was. So, now that my mental health was in a pretty good state, I decided I needed to take a real look at my physical health. Went to my PCP, and she decided we were gonna do all the testing ever. Despite all the testing, I still have no idea what's wrong. The one piece of advice my doctor did give me was to exercise. And I figured swimming is pretty easy on the joints. So I did that. So I was not a very good swimmer in the slightest, but I did it halfway through the season. I kind of realized that it was a terrible mistake, because the joints in my arms had started hurting. I'd never had problems with the joints in my arms before, and then suddenly I did. It was not fun. Now I'm going to go to a video filmed by me from before. So, about halfway through the season, I didn't really go back anymore because my wrists and my hands had started hurting. My joints never used to click before, and now they do. My wrists started hurting. They didn't used to click either. My elbows started hurting. They don't really click, but they hurt now. My shoulders click if I do this, and they hurt by themselves now too. I used to have a lot of shoulder muscle pain, but now I'll get joint pain, and sometimes it'll even feel like my shoulder is trying to fall out of its socket. I never used to be able to bend my fingers back this far. I never used to be able to do, oh, I'm doing it the wrong way, the camera can't see. I never used to be able to touch my thumb to my forearm like this. I never used to be able to do any of that. Oh, they also didn't used to be able to do this, or this, or any of this weird stuff. I don't even know what's going on, but they didn't, I don't even know if you can see, but I think they used to click a little bit, but now they click like a lot. And I can touch my toes now, which I only used to be able to get to about here, and now I can touch my toes all the way down. See, I can lift that up. My sister measured, your foot's in the shower. My sister measured it for me, and it goes up like 7 centimeters off the ground. My elbow doesn't really hyperextend, but it still hurts all the time. My shoulders are the same way. And yeah, it's just a big ol' mess. I also have started experiencing POTS symptoms, and I didn't really start experiencing that until I started exercising. So honestly, I'm a little scared to exercise at all anymore, because I'm scared of it getting worse, which I think is understandable. So now I'll explain a little about the POTS symptoms. Basically, whenever I would stand up, my heart would freak out. It's due to, it's a type of dysautonomia, which is a dysfunction of the autonomic nervous system, which regulates things like blood pressure, heart rate, digestion, all that good stuff. So basically, my first symptom was my heart just would freak out. Because I was experiencing this, I went to my doctor, who referred me to a cardiologist. And he ordered me a tilt table test. And I actually fainted during the tilt table test. So I went back to the doctor, who was under the assumption that I was just fat and had not been exercising. And he was like, I don't know, I'll just give you some meds and no diagnosis. So now we're almost to the present. 11th grade. By 11th grade, given the problems in my everything now, I had started walking with a cane over the summer. I only use it sometimes when I need it during school, but even on days when I have to use it, I get home and I crash. And it really sucks, to be honest. My path ahead is still just one giant question mark. I have hope that I will get into this online academy thing that my school does, where I can still be a student, but I go and do it online. It sounds like a wonderful solution, and I'm probably going to find out the day after tomorrow whether or not I got it. But I don't think I'm going to add it here. I'm just going to leave this unfinished, I think. So that's my life so far. I may do a part 2 in a year or two, who knows. But if you want to see it as it happens, subscribe. The vlogs have been pretty inconsistent, but I'm hoping to get better if I get into the online schooling. Like, share, subscribe, and follow my media. Links in the description.